You're the owner of a small business, which means you're also the tech guy, and HR, and personal assistant, and head honcho, and intern. You could use another pair of hands, like the experts you'll find at Verizon Small Business Days, April 21st through 27th. Get a free tech check, special deals, and more. Call 1-800-483-4428 or visit verizon.com/smallbusiness to book your appointment. Verizon Business.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
Hi, this is Tom Cock. Most of us know what we pay for various things. You go to a restaurant, if you're lucky enough to go to one, you get a menu, shows you how much the steak is or the chicken or the pasta. You know there's going to be some little bit of taxation on that. That's what you're going to pay. You go to Amazon to buy something for your wife for her birthday, pretty clear what the cost of the item is. Again, a lot of clarity around the taxation and, in this case, if a delivery fee is going to be charged or not. A lot of transparency there. But when it comes to your investments, it seems so confusing. And many of you simply throw up your hands and say, I just trust the person I'm working with to do the right thing. And we know one thing about this industry, because there's money involved, they haven't done the right thing for you much of the time. This came up recently, ran into a dear old friend who serves on the board of a not-for-profit organization. Told me about the fact that this board has millions of dollars set aside that's being managed by a large brokerage firm. Okay. And that brokerage firm is using actively managed mutual funds. Okay. He wanted to know if I thought that was a reasonable approach and sort of help him unpack how much was being paid. I was surprised that he didn't know that there's a management fee. The brokerage firm is charging them a set percentage of the portfolio. This is millions of dollars, and in this case, they're charging 60 basis points for management, which is pretty expensive when you start to get into multi-millions of dollars. So that's pretty high fee. Then here's the part they forgot about. There's a cost to the underlying investments. I took a look at a few of the mutual funds. Mutual funds on average have an expense ratio, how much is coming out of the portfolio to pay the manager, the accountants, all those other expenses associated with the mutual fund. That's an added expense. When you added all this up, it was shockingly about $60,000 a year. I made a quick phone call to someone at Vanguard just to see what the equivalent cost would be there. Guess what? It would be about a quarter of the cost, because the funds at Vanguard they would use were like 6 basis points. The expense ratio for the management was less than a third, way less expensive. Management fee, expense ratio, and then there's this other thing that many of you don't pay attention to. That's called commissions. Still being charged. Big article recently about a major brokerage house that just paid a $40 million fine because a huge account, a $100 million account, was being churned. In one case, they pointed out that the $26 million in commissions had been paid to make $5 million. 26 million in commissions to make $5 million in the account. But let me give you another example in this industry about why you should pay attention to expenses, because many of you just want to own an index, for example. One that's been very productive of late is the Standard & Poor's 500. I'm not suggesting you move all of the money in there, but if you were, here's one way you could save money. Charles Schwab now offers the S&P 500, the Schwab Index 500, the SWPPX at 2 basis points. 2 basis points. Conversely, if you really just don't think that's enough to pay somebody, and by the way, if you don't, I could send you to a very expensive gas station I drive by every day. Ridex has the S&P 500 fund, the RYSYX. Remember those 2 basis points you could pay Schwab? Well, at Ridex, for the same thing, you can pay 2.41%. Why in the world would you ever pay 2 basis points when you could pay 2.41%? That is absolute highway robbery for an index fund. You know, here are the things you need to know. Number one, anytime you hire somebody, you got to know how you're being charged. In the case of the not-for-profit, it was the management fee and the expenses of the funds. Number two, got to know about the conflicts of interest. Remember the case I mentioned, a large brokerage where $26 million in commissions? Thankfully, the broker has since been fired. But the commissions were obviously a conflict because a lot of money was being generated not to make a lot of money. And then the third part is got to add it all up. How much are you actually paying? You got to know this. What you're paying others and what you're getting for all of that. Very important. Of course, investing philosophy, that's a whole separate podcast. And we're going to show you what we believe is the right way to invest your money for the long haul using science. Join us for a webinar coming up on Wednesday, July 29th, 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. Don and I will spend time unpacking how to build the right portfolio, how to rebalance it, how to do it in a way that is very inexpensive and hopefully allows you to sleep better at night. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tom Cock.
Talking real money. We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestry, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit TalkingRealMoney.com for more information and disclosures. That should keep the lawyers happy.